Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the Nash County Board of Commissioners meeting for November the 15th to order at this time. And it is customary for our board to begin each one of our meetings with a prayer by a sitting commissioner and then the Pledge of Allegiance. And during this time, you're welcome to stand and join us in that prayer. You're welcome to use this time for your own prayer if you so like, or you're welcome to use it for a moment of silence. And at this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Marvin Arrington to lead us in this invocation, and then Wayne Outlaw with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Arrington.
All right. Let us pray. As believers, for in God we trust, Heavenly Creator, we stand here today to ask for your guidance. Grant us, open our eyes to see each other as human beings with the heart and feelings to live life peacefully and to be recognized as a person with views and opinions to be respected. Grant us as county commissioners who have the people's trust to make the best decisions for our children, our seniors, and the working families of Nash County. We ask to be granted that wisdom today. We pray for the safety of all our citizens and that we may all live in a prosperous life. As believers, we ask all these blessings in Jesus' name, for in God we trust. Amen.
Amen. Amen. You join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioners. We are now on item number 4 on the published agenda. And seems like as you get older, time flies by quicker every month, and I hope this presentation has been made a little earlier than normal. The has flown by real quick on me this time, but I'd like to call on Donna Wood at this time to introduce our auditor and to begin the presentation. I will say that we do still clean the podium between each speaker. If you allow Megan just a moment as each speaker finishes, we'd certainly appreciate it. Ms. Wood, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We have with us today Mr. Stuart Hill. He's a CPA with our auditors Thompson, Price, Scott, and Adams. He's an audit manager, and he'll be presenting our 2021 annual audit report.
Okay. Thank you. We welcome you, Mr. Hill.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate y'all having me here again, once again. I've been here a few years now. It's always a pleasure, and you always have a good audit, and it's no exception this year. We are here a little earlier. Normally, we're at your December meetings.
I didn't lose that month in life then. That's good.
So, well, the time went back. We might as well back up a month, I guess. I don't know. But at any rate, there's a reason for that. The LGC has a new requirement that we present the audit within 45 days of the time that submit the audit to the LGC. Okay. So that's why we had to move it up a little bit. So, like always, I'm going to use a presentation summary rather than the full page after page after page of audit, the full audit report. I think you've got a presentation summary in the black binder, and we're going to go to first page 1, and just, I'm not going to read all this, but I will tell you that there was a change this year in the accounting practices. There was a new GASB 84 pronouncement that had to do with the presentation of the fiduciary funds in your audit presentation or audit report itself. It doesn't really affect anything other than the way it's reflected in the report. It's just, that's one of the new things. In addition, we are required to go over this letter and go into the second page. We have to disclose any difficulties and different disagreements and things like that we had during the performance of the audit. And as usually, we didn't have any difficult encounters here. We didn't have any significant disagreements that I'm aware of. There was no consultations with other accountants, like second opinions, as I'm aware of. And so everything went pretty well. As far as any findings, similar to last year and other years as well, and other counties as well, there were some findings in the compliance section, all of it based on, or it was out of the DSS and Medicaid items, but none of them had any question costs. It's bookkeeping, or not bookkeeping, it's documentation that was the findings. It's little deficiency in some of the documentations. So there's no financial findings this year. So also, we want to make sure that everybody's aware that as we had the new GASB 84 on the fiduciary funds this year, next year we have another GASB, it's GASB number 87, and that's going to relate to the representation of leases. And your staff's already on top of that as well. So for this year that you're in now, we just want to be sure that everybody's aware that that's a new presentation for next year. All right, with that, on page 4 and 5, that's the pages we put the data on that supports the charts that start on page 6. So we won't go through all that data because that's what's reflected on the charts, and it's easier to see it with the charts than it is with just looking at a lot of data. So on page 6, at the top, your general fund balance. The total general fund balance, and this is a 5-year trend like we typically do, we can see that your general fund, total fund balance is about 47 million in 2021, and you can see how it was about 42 million in 2017, and you can see how it's just kind of trended from 2017 to 2021. The available fund balance, which is the red bars, is 34 million in 2021, and it was about 36 million in 2017. And then the fund balance portion that's unassigned is 24 million in 2021 and about 30 million in 2017. Second chart on the page represents your general fund balance as a percentage of the expenditures. The blue represents the available fund balance, and you can see those percentages there, so you can see how the percentages have trended. The red is a group weighted average. That's similar populations, counties. I think you're in the 50 to 100,000 category as the state provides the documentation for other counties. However, the red does not, that we don't have the information from the state yet for what it is in 2021, so because there's so many audits that hadn't even been turned in yet. Okay, on page 7, we're going to go to your tax collection percentages. Blue is Nash County. The red is, once again, the North Carolina counties with similar population. And you can see how your percentages are above what the state averages are. So you're doing well in that category. Page 8, for your general fund revenues, We've categorized those, and you can see that the ad valorem taxes is the largest percentage of your revenues, followed by the other taxes and licenses, which is predominantly the local option sales tax, and then the intergovernmental would be coming in third, and that's grants and revenues, mostly in the DSS department. And on page 9, just a similar breakdown of the general fund expenditures. And you can see that your largest category of expenditures are education, followed by the public safety, and then the human services. And the percentages are there as well. So with that, I mean, it's short and sweet. We appreciate Donna and her staff, as always, and all the other departments that had a part in helping us to get the information that we had to have to do the audit procedures. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer it.
Any questions from commissioners about the presentation by Mr. Stewart? Mr. Stewart, the uptrend in the general fund balance, which jumped up quite a bit, about $4 million, $4.5 million, is that in any way tied to federal
Absolutely.
ARP funding that's coming in, or what?
Probably a lot of the CARES Act stuff, I would
A lot of the
imagine.
CARES Act.
I would think so, yeah.
Is the ARP funding that we've already received reflected in this yet or not?
I'm not sure, Donna, did you know?
We received it in May or June.
Half of it is in there, the
Half of it
$9 million.
Okay.
I guess I'm wondering if half of it is in here and we probably hadn't spent very little yet, where does it sit at?
I'm sorry, ask the question again.
Okay, I guess I'm wondering if half of it is in here, which will be about $9 million, and we haven't spent any significant amount to date, where is it sitting in the budget at?
Well, what we're looking at primarily is just the general fund.
Okay.
Where the general fund has capital projects and grant projects.
Right,
So that is not specifically in the general fund balance.
okay,
So you wouldn't see that revenue in there.
right, okay. So it's sitting somewhere else.
Correct.
It will be in the full audit report, and because the reason you don't have a full audit report right now is because although it's been submitted to the LGC, they have not formally
Blessed it.
blessed it. But they're close. Donna said that she had seen that they had sent her the okay to go ahead and fulfill the invoice, so that's a good sign. They're really close. So, but we don't like to give it out, the audit, full audit, until we have it, that it's all approved.
Yeah, once it comes to this board, it's available to all the public then, and we
That's-
certainly realize
that's right.
that. Mr. Lamb, you might can answer this better, but I know this board has had not a concentrated effort, but somewhat of an effort to utilize our fund balance a little more than we may have had in years past, and it is showing up here that we are doing that. Is that because of that effort, I guess, that we have numerous times on projects that we want to move forward with,
Yeah.
we would use fund balance to do that with? And of course, it has gone down some over the last few years, which was, I think, designed by the staff and board.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to generalize, but I will. But basically, I think what we've done is restrict funds.
Yes, sir.
And therefore, those funds, we set them aside for certain projects, and therefore they show up in the blue bar,
Right.
but do not show up in the available or the unassigned.
I was more looking at the charts on 4 and 5, which actually gives you numbers. And I could see that it looks like
Oh, yeah.
our,
Unavailable.
yes, sir.
Yeah, the unavailable went up about $4.5 million this year, and I don't know if the state is requiring additional reserves or if it's solely because of us setting money aside for projects like Red Oak, Miracle Park, different.
And we allotted a pretty large amount for the new jail addition as well out of fund balance.
Right.
To
In
keep from
fact,
borrowing so much.
I do know 750 at the last meeting y'all transferred that we had set aside for Red Oak that didn't need it
To the new,
to the
Field
new
house.
field house. So that would have been in the blue bar on page 6, but not available or unassigned.
well, could we all agree that the utilization of our fund balance sum has been done in a proper way because we're using it for one-time expenditures on capital-type projects, which is, I would think, would be the right way? I'll phrase that as a question.
Yes, I believe that y'all have made a concentrated effort to use fund balance for one-time expenditures, and we've also made a concentrated effort to reserve funds, restrict funds, and so, yeah. Yeah, no, I think finance has done a great job. I mean, the main bar is the blue bar. I mean, the overall fund balance is definitely going up. That may have been because of governmental funds like the CARES Act, partly. But no, I think our fund balance at our unassigned fund balance at 25% is reasonable. And so your goal, your policy is 15%.
Correct.
So y'all are well above that.
I also can't help but notice in the circle of expenditures that our schools have come out on the top this year. It's always very close between schools, public safety, and social services. But schools is up somewhat from what it has been in years past, and I guess that's all schools, including capital expenditures, would drive that like that.
Most capital expenditures doesn't include the debt service, so that would,
Right.
you would add to that education amount. I think the one thing that on page 8 that I think should be noted is that our reliance on ad valorem taxes, while we haven't increased the rate, 67-cent rate, that our overall pie, part of the pie there for ad valorem has gone up steadily to now 56.5. I mean, I remember a couple years ago it was 51, then went up to 52, 53. And I'm not sure how much of the 19.64 is your sales tax, but I would think 9/10 of it, 90% of it would be, and that is going up also, the sales tax, as a proportion of the overall revenues.
Yeah, it is interesting that the ad valorem tax continues to rise, even though we are maintaining the rate for a very long period of time, which means we have growth in the county.
Growth in the county and increased collections, but mainly, at this point, mainly it's growth in the tax base. In fact, I'm not sure if I saw that here or where, but our total valuation has gone over the 8 billion point
Is that right?
for the county. And I think that might have been in this year data, but
Some over 8.1 billion.
yeah, it had been less than 8 billion until July 1, and it's gone over 8 billion.
Must be all those 20,000 square foot lots, I guess. Kid with you. And it's got to be a lot to do with the home building, because that, as we know, is up
Wait.
quite considerable. But yeah, I do recognize that that's significantly affected by the percent of taxes collected as well. Certainly so. Well, Stuart, do you go to some counties and have a not so favorable audit to present? Is that in your wheelhouse sometimes?
So every now and then, yeah. I got one later today. You know, it's not bad, but it's not as clean as this one.
Right.
But, so, yeah, and we've had some that's tough.
Overall, do most counties in North Carolina do a pretty good job, though, in what you see? I know you don't do them all.
Yeah, well, no, we don't do them all. We do a lot of them, but we don't do them all. It's all over the board. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a good handful of good ones. We got some that's okay, you know, and then we got some that's struggling, that's really struggling. I mean, we don't even have trial balance from some of them yet. So we can't do much on an audit if we don't have the information. So.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in North Carolina, because we do have strong local government commission, generally county audits come in really well. Where you see deficiencies more often than not are in your smaller towns and cities, where you...
Definitely a bigger portion of the ones that aren't doing really well are the towns, but we do have some counties like that too.
No, I think, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Well, I do think this board recognizes that we are in a pretty good place as it relates to our revenue versus social needs, and quite frankly, some of the counties further east of us, or some north of us as well, I really don't understand how they do as well as they do sometimes, because they're stretched for revenue and have a larger social need than what we may have here in Nash County. It's got to be a real struggle for some of those boards, and I don't understand how to do as well as they do, quite frankly. Any other questions? All right, we thank you for being here again. As long as you keep bringing good news, we'll probably have you come back again.
Yeah, well, it's not us, it's your people that makes the good news. So.
We recognize that, sir.
If I may,
Sure.
I'd like to thank you for your work in the last few years, and but particularly the finance office. I don't think we've had a bad audit in the 8 years I've been here, and it sure makes my job a lot easier when you have a great finance staff that gets the job done.
And a tax collection staff.
Yes, tax collection staff.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Donna, anything else, or are we good?
Accept the audit.
Okay, we'll do that. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion to accept the audit as presented. Have a motion by Commissioner Wilkins. Is there a second? Excuse me, Commissioner Leggett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilkins. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Audit is accepted, Ms. Wood. The next item on the agenda is our exterior presentation for our second meeting of the month, and at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Outlaw, since he sets these up for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, it's a great pleasure for me today to introduce our outside presenter, Miss Margaret Sharp. Margaret is a former educator. I know she's going to tell you a little bit about her background in her presentation, but she's replacing Brenda Cogdale, I believe, in November of 2020, after Brenda served in that capacity or with that organization for 40 years. So being a former board member of Tri-County many years ago, probably before you were born, maybe, but I have a good understanding of what you do, and I thank you on behalf of our board for what you do to help many of our citizens reach their full vocational potential. So with that, Ms. Sharp, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm very fortunate to be able to serve as president of Tri-County Industries. As Mr. Outlaw shared, I was an educator. I was a special education teacher, and when I was in the classroom, my students, when students were allowed to attend, they went for the work experience there, and then I eventually moved to be an administrator within the Nash County Schools, Nash Rocky Mount Schools, and I left. I went to Wake County for 3, and then my before last year, I was in Edgecombe County for a year, and the board chair approached me about Tri-County Industries, and I had 28 years in education, and had to really think about it because I knew that when I did retire, I wanted to give back, be involved with our community and provide services for individuals with disabilities and their families. Just didn't know what that was going to be, and so God opened the door, and I have been very blessed to be a part of Tri-County Industries for a little over a year now. Brenda has some tremendous shoes to fill. She did a great job in overseeing the program and making sure that we have opportunities to our community stakeholders. And she retired in January, and there was another individual there for a little while, and then she came back in June. And I was fortunate to work with her for 2 months to train. And you can't learn everything in 2 months because I'm learning every single day. Every day is a new opportunity. So I am fortunate to be a part of the Tri-County Industries that we provide 2 different types of services. We have the programming side, which we partner with vocational rehab to provide job training and work skills. And we also have the ADVIP and CLFS program, which is our adult developmental vocational program. And these individuals, there are 50 that come in. We have a slot for 62, but our numbers are down due to the COVID restrictions. And when the company did have to close our programming side from March until September of 2020, and during that time, some of the clients' families decided not to send them back, and we've slowly been having them come back here and there, but we're still not at full capacity. But those 50 individuals come in every day, and they come in so that we can enhance their lives. They work, they do work skills based on their abilities, and then we also do some activities with them. We take them out in the community. We take them to grocery shop and various in-facility activities. And then with the vocational rehab portion, those number of referrals are down because of the COVID impact, but we do have job coaches who go out and do supported employment, and the numbers are slowly starting to increase there. Our other side of the facility, we have production, and the programs and production go hand in hand, because without the production work and our contracts with our partners, our individuals who come for work training and work skills wouldn't have anything to work on. And so we have opened the company back open for tours if you are interested. I know several of you probably have visited the facility, but we've made some changes, and we are doing tours by invitation on the second Tuesday of each month. We're calling them Touring to TCI. If you're interested, please contact me, and we do a little brief overview, and then you get to walk through and see our amazing facility and the work that they do. It's not just little pieces of jobs. Our individuals are putting together kits and light assembly of building elevators. So when you go into an elevator, think about Tri-County Industry, because we may have done something that was a part of that elevator. We also have we have contracts with ABB. We do specialized training in there. We have one individual who he has a room to himself, and he's doing a lot of the job he does is very hands-on, but he's very diligent in making sure that he does a good job and it's quality. We are now in the process of trying to secure some additional contracts. In July 1st, we lost the 3 rest area contracts with the Department of Transportation. They go out for bid every 3 years, and a company underbidded us. And so we managed the rest area at Dorchester Rest Area for 26 years. And so this is the first time we're not doing that. So we lost some of those employees. They went with the new company. We did have 2 to decide to stay with us because they felt like our company was what they wanted to be a part of, and the benefits were in place, and they feel like we value them as individuals. And so they're in our Atlantic Avenue facility now working. We have contracts with Draca Elevator. Again, the work is amazing. I invite you to please come in and see the different parts, the electrical parts. We build the harnesses, we put the sub-kits together, as well as individual packaging of screws and counting and instructions that go into the packages there. As I said, some new contracts that we're looking at, LS Cable out of Tarboro. We've got 2 possibilities of jobs that we're waiting for some finalization of those contracts so that we can employ at least 6 more individuals in that location. We have, we're renegotiating our contract with Cummins at Rocky Mount Engine Plant, and we employ about 36 out there. They go into the Cummins site, and they're our employees, but they do the work there. And we run a skid arrangement. We keep the storage and load the trucks and keep Cummins facility full of the skids whenever they need it for the motors and so forth. At Atlantic Avenue, we do bed plates. It is the bed plate that the robot puts the glue down for the engine to sit on. Well, the bed plates have to be outlined by hand, and so we have 2 individuals who, that is their specialized area, that they outline the bed plates with using a template. We also have a list of our partial customers in the brochure that we've given you. We do several jobs with Rocky Mount Cord Company. We have on the front cover of our brochure, that's our Pfizer room, and that's a contract that we do for Pfizer. Pfizer sends these medicine caps over to us, and this is a client job with the adult advent program. They go through and inspect those caps, and we package them up, send them back to Pfizer. They run them back through a process, and then send them back to us, and we inspect them again just to find any defects there. And that's a job that everybody wants to do. They love to go in the Pfizer room because they have to be semi-clean, and they put the suits on and everything, but everyone wants to do that job that's at our site. We have a group of individuals that we house at Draca. They're our employees, but they do the work at Draca and building the sub-kits and the trough area. And so we have a supervisor out there that manages 32 employees. The last couple of the years, we've been we've made a profit, and we're proud of that. We made one this past year, and we were not expecting that because we did have to shut down, and parts and labor is a tremendous piece that's affecting us. We currently have 16 vacancies. So if you know anybody that wants a job, we have a job for you. Imagine that. And we do cater to individuals with disabilities or disadvantages. And a disadvantage could be someone that's not worked for several years and decides they want to go back into the workforce. It could be someone that is an individual that has decided to retire and really wants to do something that's not quite as intense and stressful in other jobs. So you don't have to have a disability to work at Tri-County, but that is who we cater to. And so we just want to give people a chance, and a chance to work if they want to work. We teach them the skills, give them the background and the skills that they can be successful, and we provide that support. Individuals that come into our facility at Atlantic Avenue often don't want to leave because they feel like they're part of the family. I have a couple of employees that have been there for 40 years, and so they come every day and don't want to miss a day. And again, we're very fortunate and blessed. You guys help support our transportation needs for the clients who come in. Our advent clients would not be able to come if we didn't provide transportation. We have a contract with the Rocky Mount Transit System, and we pick up our clients at their houses, and they bring them to Tri-County, and we take them home. We do charge them we've just had to go up to $5 a day, but Rocky Mount Transit charged us $21 a day. So the offset of cost, Nash County funding, Edgecombe County funding, as well as United Way helps us offset that cost. And so we appreciate all of your funding and support, because again, if we didn't provide that transportation, our clients couldn't come to Tri-County on a daily basis. So thank you. I think that's about all that I wanted to share. The update, I am there as president. We've made some changes in our administrative leadership, but Brenda's still on call. So she comes every other week for Rotary meetings, and I always have a list of things to ask her about. So I'm learning from the best, and I hope to continue to expand the company and the resources that we're able to provide to families in our community. Any questions?
Any questions from Commissioner for Ms. Sharp?
I got just one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Allen.
Just one question. You talked about tours
Yes.
on the second Tuesday. Is this a set time of the day that you do this?
We do. We do the tours from 11 to 1. We talk about the company before you go, so you know what to expect, because our facility's a very large facility. And then we walk you through and show you the different types of jobs so that you can see. We do like, if you're interested in tour, just contact me, because we try to set it up so that we don't have a large crowd, and we want to accommodate and make sure that we have safety parameters. Last month, we did a tour with our emergency personnel, because there's been a lot of turnover with the Nash County Sheriff, Edgecombe County Sheriff, Rocky Mount Police Chief, as well as the Fire Department Chief. And so we invited those agencies in, and they did a tour, and were amazed at what we do, because there's been a lot of turnover. But as a result of that, this week, we have the Fire Department, the 3 different groups that would serve Tri-County if we have an emergency. They're coming in and do tours so that they know exactly what they would come into if we needed their assistance. And so we welcome you to come in to see, ask questions, just to be a part, and we provide lunch before you leave.
So it's the second Tuesday, and it's about a 2-hour thing.
Right,
Thank
right.
Belfield?
Yes. The approximately involving your clients in training, approximately how many are able to move on with some industry to regular jobs? With
VR, most of the individuals that we have come in for the training, the work training, our hope is to have all of them employable, to be able to walk out. We have time frames, and we do have some individuals that are out in the community, and we're still supporting them, and came through training 5 years ago. If they need those support, we put those supports in place. But our hope is to prepare them all to go out into the community, because we want to be inclusive of making sure that individuals are competitive and integrated in the work environment, but we also look at each individual needs and their interest, what they're interested in doing. So with the VR clients, we want 100% to go out in the community. And believe it or not, the ones who actually come in our site for some training or assessment, because we do, right now we're doing assessments with individuals to see what they would be good at. They want to stay at Tri-County, but we don't have a lot of job openings within the facility. But I would say about 90% of those that we train.
Any specific time before you recommend them for other job opportunities?
It just depends on the individual, because we're working with the state guidelines of vocational rehab with those that come in for the work training. We recently they come in for assessments. They're there for 6 weeks for assessment, and then after the assessment, I meet with a VR counselor, and it's primarily me that meets with them, and make the recommendation based on their training and their skill set. And after the 6 weeks, we can do supported employment, which we make the recommendation that they go into the community based on, we help them find the job, we provide that, we help them do the application, we help prepare them for the interviews, make sure they're dressed appropriately. We actually take them to the interviews if they need the transportation, and we provide job coaching if they need it, and that would be one-on-one, side-by-side, based on the employer's available or acceptance of us being in there. Those that could be more independent, we've had 2 that we exited from the program the end of September, and they're ready for employment, and they told us they didn't want us to help them find a job. So they're ready, they've received the training. If they call us back and want us to help them, we'll help them find the job too. But they're ready, they wanted to do it, try to do it on their own. So it just depends on the individual.
Other questions, comments?
Ms. Sharp, well, I don't have a question. I just want to sound a loud horn for Tri-County Industries. I worked there back in the late 70s and 80s when Chet Motterhead was the director. I want to say that the Tri-County Industries represent Tri-County Industry because it represents the Tri-Counties in this area, and it does a very good job of what it's supposed to do, that is, to help those with difficult needs, or as we would say, disability. And one of the good experiences that I had there is that every day that I walked in to work, the clients, greeted me with a smile. And they taught me that I didn't have any kind of disability if I thought I did. And I thought we did, as an employee, when I was there, I thought we did a good job of training and giving those who were homebound someplace to go in order to achieve a sense of worth. And I'm sure y'all still do that. And like I work at Rocky Mountain Energy Planning, we have those same clients that you have at our facility, and they do a very fine job. They show the work up on time, and you know, you can't tell any difference that they're not a regular employee. So I want to, I guess, congratulate you and that you have taken on the responsibility of this directorship, and that you will have much success in serving the clients that need in our Tri-County area.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron. Others? I'm sure I should know this, and I know what 2 counties are. What is the 3rd county other than Nash and Hitchcock?
It used to be Wilson, but Wilson has their own facility now, but we do serve Halifax and Northampton County as well.
Okay, so it's really 4 that we serve. Okay.
Right,
Okay.
yes.
All right, if there are no other questions, we certainly want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and glad you were able to find employment after employment that seemed to fit you very well in your core mission in life.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Outlaw, you want to introduce our in-house speaker today as well?
I don't know that John Kearney needs much introduction. Anybody that knows John Kearney and knows anything about our Board of Elections knows that he runs a Class A shop. He does it right. He's on top of it. And we're very fortunate to have John leading our Board of Elections. So, John.
Thank you, Mr.
Welcome.
Outlaw, Commissioners. Glad to be with you guys this afternoon, and I want to thank you for getting the Commissioner redistricting done to me before the deadline that I had set. It allowed me to start a few days early, and I'm glad to say I am done. I have already keyed in your county commissioner districts. I have keyed in the NC House, the NC Senate, and the U.S. Congressional. those state races were much easier than yours because they don't split precincts. They're pretty easy to do. But I finished last week. We ran a GIS check over the weekend, had a few little issues I took care of this morning. I'm running one more check tonight to make sure I've got everything at 100%. But what has been passed out to you is, I guess you could say, a look in time currently right now what the voter registration is for your district and for the entire county, the statistics for your district and the entire county. Page 2 is for each commissioner, shows your precincts that are in your commissioner district, and therefore you can determine what your polling places are for your commissioner district. I have received information from Rocky Mount on Friday stating that they will have their districts to me by the deadline, which is Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So I assume that I will have their shape files to me by Wednesday at 5. And if they do get them to me on time, they will file on December the 6th, along with the other partisan primary filing. So the only thing that will be left so far as the redistricting after I complete the city of Rocky Mount will be the Nash County Public School System. I have tried to get in touch with the superintendent over there, but we played a little bit of phone tag, so I don't know exactly what their plan is or their time frame, but I'm in no hurry for them because they won't vote until November. They don't file until August. So plenty of time, probably won't even mess with them until after the March primary. That's kind of where things stand with the redistricting. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them the best I can.
Questions of Mr. Kearney at this time?
And just remember, these numbers are fluid. What you see today won't be the same tomorrow because voters come and voters go, so numbers are always changing. But as of right now, well, 3 or 4 hours ago, that's what your numbers were.
At 10:03 this morning.
Yes, you had the most. And these are registered voters, not population, which is what your maps were done by. So just understand the difference.
Registered voters.
These are people that are eligible to vote,
Gotcha.
that are registered and eligible to vote, either active or inactive. And inactive just simply means they have a bad mailing address, but they're still eligible to vote. I do mention this to you. This will be up to you, totally your choice. And the only reason I mention it to you is because some boards do this. This board did it back in 2011 when we did this before. It is not required by statute. I am not proposing it to this board. I'm just telling you the options. That you have the option to notify all registered voters of their new precincts or new districts by postcard. Again, not required. The only time we're required by law to send a postcard or to notify a voter is of a precinct change or a polling place change. So this does not qualify for one of those two. But you may, as a board, decide you want to notify the voters in the county of their new districts, and that would be all the new districts that I have available. When we did this last time, I didn't have the school systems, so the school systems wasn't included, but they turned around and paid for their own to be sent out in mid-2011 or whenever it was. And I may or may not have their, by 1st of February or so, I don't know. Again, I have not been able to get it with the superintendent. But just for your information, if you would decide this is something you want to do, what we would do, we would export all the data, and we would work with a local vendor. I've gotten quotes from Key Printing and Allegra just for informational. We would set up a postcard that would go out regular standard mail to each voter that has a good address in our system, which is about 59,000 in our system with good verifiable mailing addresses. That would be anywhere between $21,000 and $25,000. The printing of it is easy. The printing of it is inexpensive. The printing of it's about $5 to $8, depending on which company you go with. But postage is where to get you. So you got a postage for a postcard. Even if we send it pre-sorted, it's still going to be 26, 27 cent card. So that is just informational for you. This is not something that's budgeted. It is not something the Board of Elections is asking. This would be something you would have to appropriate the funds, and then we could proceed if you wanted it done.
John, I think this board generally relies on experts, if there is one, or the most knowledgeable person for advice in a matter of that, what you have described here today. Do you have any opinion or any advice on what you think the board should do?
A best practice would be to do it.
Okay.
Again, that's a best practice, but it does cost quite a bit of money, obviously. You know, some people keep their postcards, they keep it in their pocket. We've had voters come in, here's my old card, and then some people are going to throw them in the trash with the other mail they get. So you would have a little bit of both there. But again, our best practice would be to do it, but it is not required, totally up to the board.
Do you have any feel on what percentage of these people, 66,000, may have a change in that postcard from the last time they got the postcard? Change in where they would vote or who they would vote for?
No, when I was going through, well, every one of them, because your congressional district changed from 1 to 2.
You're right. Yeah.
So that's everybody in the county right there. Senate didn't change. NC House made some changes. You know, we lost District 7. Now we have 25 and 24. 24 is just Middlesex and Middlesex and Bailey precincts.
Right.
The rest of it's all 25, so there is a little bit right there. Rocky Mount will make a difference because Rocky Mount's going to affect a lot of people in percentages, in precincts because it's small. You know, if you look at a town in a precinct, they're all split. Right. Go from one side of the road to the other side of the road, one subdivision to the other subdivision. So, you know, I couldn't tell you. It'd be just a pulling number out of air if I had to guess.
Well, you had a good point that every one of us would change on congressional district.
Right.
For sure. That is not something this board has budgeted, you're saying, and it would be an appropriation to do that.
That is correct. That's correct. I'm going to say this and probably going to shoot myself in the foot. But I can't manage that right there. But I do have money in my budget for a City of Rocky Mount election that did not occur. So I may have enough money in my budget to cover it because the cost of the October City of Rocky Mount funds is still an expense item I have. No income coming in because that didn't happen. Now, their election will fall on a primary, so there's really not hardly any billable expenses I can give the City of Rocky Mount. It will just ride on the coattails of the county expenses. So I do have excess money there, and it may be and probably is enough to cover this. But that would be...
That's county money or city money?
That's county money that I would get reimbursed from the City of Rocky Mount, and I won't be getting reimbursed, so you won't have an income come back. But I do have it in my expense item.
I follow you now.
So that, you know.
It would take some kind of budget transfer, Mr. Lamb, or is that inner
We,
department? You would do
the
it.
finance office could move it from one line item to another line item. As he said, we just won't be getting that revenue that was part of the budget, but we won't do a budget amendment to reflect the lack of revenue.
Most of it is sitting in supplies, and it's probably some of it in part-time payroll. Just have to be reallocated to postage and things like that.
Mr. Lamb, with your long-term experience in politics and elections, do you have a thought on this request that you'd like to give us today, or would you like to get back with us on that?
No, I agree with Mr. Kearney's recommendation. It would be good prior to the primary in March, probably, I think you said February?
I wouldn't send them out till February 1st, because otherwise
Yeah.
people are just going to discard them. So it's better to get them in front of them right before the early voting starts.
Yeah, so I think it would be an informative thing for the public to be able to see which district they're in for this and that. Hopefully, we will have the school board information by then, and we could include that also. So it would include all seats that are that you can vote in, whether it's a new district or not.
Does that take action by this board, or does not take action by this board?
it would take action if his available funds were not sufficient to pay for the cost. We would have to do a budget amendment. Otherwise, you can simply, y'all can, by consensus, or you can vote on it to direct us to do it, either way. But it's something that the Board of Elections could administratively do also, but apparently in the past, they've come to the Board of Commissioners, probably because of the cost.
Yeah, normally we wouldn't have the funds in the budget, but just
Right.
because of the Rocky Mount situation, we do have some excess funds, which is probably enough to cover it.
Is there any thoughts from board members on that? It seemed like a grand idea to myself, but how do y'all feel?
It sounds like a good idea. I think we should do it.
Same here.
Now, say that again now?
Same here.
My question is the board in favor of us sending those postcards out? I've heard 5 of you say you were in favor of it, including
I was
myself.
going to ask this question,
Sure.
which is better. I know it's probably cheaper to do the postcard, but that the voter will keep up with it. Postcards end up in the trash can, maybe a letter. They would hold on to it, but it's probably more expensive.
It is significantly more expensive because of,
Yeah.
for the postage, if no other reason, then you got an envelope to go along with the letter and the folding of it and stuff. So I couldn't tell you, but I know that my lowest price I got, or quote I got, was $5,100 for the printing of the postcard. So that would probably increase to $8,000 or $9,000, and your postage would really go up. So I'm not saying it's going to double in price, but it would probably be closer to $40,000 for a letter. And I don't know that they're going to keep a letter any better. They sometimes, I've seen them fold postcards up and put it in a wallet. I don't know that you can do that with a letter, but, you know.
The other problem is, are they going to open the letter? Whereas the postcard, you don't have to open it.
Yeah, we'll definitely put election, official election label on the outside of it, but, you know.
Would you use the same change of address notification form template?
No, it'll be if you're talking a postcard, it's going to be a custom postcard that we just have variable data on both sides, the address on one side, and the other side, we'll have a little statement as to what it is, and then we'll list the districts and the numbers and
Yeah.
that type of thing.
If you custom, you could make it somewhat catchy, I would think, somehow, could you not? Maybe work with.
I can work with Jonathan or somebody that's more artistic than I am,
Yeah.
but yes.
Yeah, I think I would certainly do something like that. Yeah. Mr. Outlaw, did you have a thought?
Yeah, John, would this go out to every registered voter or every voter that voted in the last election or something like that?
Every registered voter with an active mailing address. When I say active mailing address, you have 2 types of registered voter. You have an active and inactive. Inactive are people or voters whose the mail has come back undeliverable twice. They can still vote, but when they get the vote, they got to update their address and sign a piece of paper. We would not try to send it to them because you'd just be wasting money. So right now, it's about 59,000 plus voters it would go to. Their addresses are good.
Yeah, I'd be very supportive of it. That information would be beneficial to a lot of people.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think you've heard the
Okay.
wishes of the board.
I have.
Yep. Any other questions?
Just got,
Sure.
I know now that we have finished entering the data, I guess I've got a map at home of my district which shows the pieces that were moved and changed. We can now request a map that is our district in its entirety.
That is correct. I have the ability to print 24-inch maps, and Brad can print a 36-inch map,
Okay.
depending on what you need. But he has the shape files, he sent them to me, and I have them. So either place, we
So
can get you a
Brad
map.
can
Brad-
print the large.
Brad can print you the large one. I'm not going to, I'm not really going to plan on releasing the per se data yet until I finish Rocky Mount and go back and check, because it's very easy for me to make a mistake when I'm doing Rocky Mount and change a commissioner district just because of the way it works. So once I finish Rocky Mount or school system, I will go back and run some checks on commissioner districts, Rocky Mount's district, just to make sure I'm 100% before I start
And
releasing.
you'll let us know when
list.
that's
I can let you know
so we
that
can
you can
request
have
that map. How about the?
Now, the map you can get anytime, it's just if you wanted the CD with the list of names and people in your district, I'd rather wait until I'm.
Well, that's what I was going
more
to
sure
ask
of
you
that.
next. Can we get that electronically?
You can get elected electronically. Since it regards redistricting, I don't mind giving it to everybody, give everybody one.
Let me ask you this. Can you also get a hard copy?
You can.
I know there may be some cost associated with that.
Right, you can get a hard copy, we can do that, it's just, the price stacks up because it's, so many pages.
Okay.
But yes, but I can get you I can email all of you one, or you can go online and get it online. We have all our data online for an Excel download, but I've cut that link off for now until I finish everything and get it checked before I put that link up there for.
So I'll just wait to hear from you, we'll hear from you.
I'll send it out to you guys.
All right, the first day of registration for the election,
Noon, December 6th.
December 6th at noon, that's when it starts.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Ends December 17th at noon.
Correct. And I'll have the filing fee schedule on our website later this week. I've already completed it. I'm just waiting on the city of Rocky Mount to hand me that data before I officially publish it. They're going to be filing on December the 6th because by law I have to have that. I need that data by Wednesday.
Okay.
How soon can you get a list of the people that are registered in your district?
As soon as I key in City of Rocky Mount and double check the information, then I'll let you guys know that it's available and get you one.
Okay.
All right, good. Excuse
Back
me,
to the
Darren.
postcard, would you do the postcard on a catchy color, maybe yellow, or can you do that in your house? Please say.
Well, yeah, I think we can, as long as we keep the ink black, we can save money. We can probably do it on colored paper. It's probably going to be a little bit more than white paper. My quote was on standard white paper, but we can look into that and talk to them about it.
Yeah, please say.
Yeah.
All
We'll
right.
see what we can do to jazz it up as much as possible.
Just if you do it in color, don't do it on red or blue.
No, because then, believe me, I know that.
Or both.
Somebody's going to complain.
Yeah, maybe do both.
We'll do orange.
Yep. What does red and blue make? Orange?
No.
Purple? Purple. Gotcha. Sound like a winner.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Great information, and we certainly appreciate your staff and your board's hard work. I'm quite surprised to get this data today. Give me something to do tonight. All right, that was item number 6. We are now on item number 7, which is property acquisition for proposed water supply well. I'll call on Mr. Boone at this time. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. The item I have before the board for their consideration this evening is acquisition, or afternoon, rather, is acquisition of 1.3 acre parcel near the intersection of Wallet Mill Road and NC 43 north of Red Oak. This is one of 7 sites that had been identified in the early stages of work on the Northern Ash water system. This is a site where we have had a contractor come in and drill a pilot well. As you probably read in your cover memo, it appears the well will be rated for about 160 gallons per minute, which would be about 60% more than the well that we acquired from Aqua and the yield we expect from the well that we will be developing at James Bund Road. But the value you see there, $62,500, again, is for a 1.3 acre site, yet to be subdivided. It's from a larger tract at that intersection, but is based on an appraisal that we received from Triangle East Appraisals that appraised the value of the property at $30,800 per acre. Multiply that by 1.38, add $20,000, which is roughly the value that we'd included in the offer for the property we acquired at James Bund Road. That's how we arrive at $62,500. So again, this would be to support the Northern Ash water system, both existing and future phases, at 160 gallons per minute. There is some treatment that we required at that location for iron, manganese, and radium, but nothing that is insurmountable. With that said, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Questions of Mr. Boone on this acquisition?
Mr. Chairman, I was
Yes,
going to say, as usual, you're always thorough, so I surely have none.
All right, if there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Outlaw, a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harrington, Commissioner Wilkins at the same time. All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a Triangle Trails Initiative and Resolution. I'll call on the manager, Z-Lam, to make this presentation at this time. I think you have a rather thick package on your desk when you got here about this item. Mr. Lamb?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You can see on page 25 of the agenda a description of this matter. About 3 or 4 months ago, the chairman and I were contacted by Mr. Hutchinson, who's a commissioner in Wake County, about becoming the 15th county in the Triangle Trails Initiative. Right now, there's 14 counties. It's one of 3 in North Carolina. One's the Piedmont, which is just west of the Triangle counties. And then there's one that is around the Charlotte area that extends down into South Carolina. It's got counties from both states. But as I have here in the description, the Triangle Trails Initiative is a newly launched collaborative between government, business, anchor institutions, and civic leaders to make the Research Triangle region a national leader in greenways and trails. Triangle Trails will work on behalf of the region to promote the extensive regional greenway system. On Friday, the chairman and I attended a meeting at the Sentinel County campus of NC State, and we were given this information. I guess we killed a couple trees to get it printed. But this was the PowerPoint that was presented at the meeting. It has a lot of information in there. So I printed it out so all of y'all could not read it right now, but read it when you get home and enjoy it. I will defer to the chairman to make some comments, but I will say that in your agenda package, there's a 2-page description of the project, and then there's a resolution that's similar to the ones that the other counties have adopted. These began last year. You can see in the big packet here that all 14 counties have passed these resolutions in the last year, and I think they decided that we would be a good addition to their regional partnership and have invited us. They've indicated we will be the 15th and last, but it could extend further in the future, but for now, we're the 15th and final county being invited to be in this regional initiative. I will answer any questions, or if the chairman has any further comments, we can.
I don't have a lot to add, Mr. Lamb. I was approached back at our association meeting in Wilmington by SIG, the commissioner from Wake County, and he talked to me about this on one of the breaks and said he'd be getting in touch with us, which he did a couple of months ago, and then actually got us a sample or a typical resolution that the other one had been done. There's really no obligation of cost involved in this. It really seems to me to be more of an attempt to make us more aware and to compare our notes, and we also discuss meeting at least once a year on Friday to see where we stood on this. But it include walking trails, it include trails for horseback riding, as well as what they call blue trails, which we have quite a few in the county already because of the areas that we have designated along several of our streams, mainly the Tar River, to put in canoes and so forth. But I think with the number of people that we have moving into Nash County outside of the area, and of course, we have a lot of homegrown people that certainly enjoy this type of outside activity and exercise, I just think it would be a great thing for us to pass this resolution, and it was always also suggested it would put us in a position to be able to apply for more grants for this type thing, because they generally like to see, as Mr. Belfield has said many times, a regional approach to anything, and this regional approach here, by having this 15-county region, I think would enable us to apply and obtain more grants to increase our trails and increase the input areas for the blue trails that we have, and also potentially work on, we have some horse trails throughout the county. There's no, their own individual lands, and several large meets that are held throughout Bass County, but I don't see any negativity of it, and hope the board will agree to pass this. But Mr. Lamb can answer any questions or
I will mention that on about page 10 of that large handout, there's shows you the counties that have done their master plan.
right.
And some of them are completed, some are underway, and some are planning to do it in the future, in the near future. So I think the important thing is, even though we're the 15th county, we're not behind, and we can get a grant to do our county. We do not have a county greenway master plan, but we can get the funding to do it here in Nash County.
I would add one other thing. It was made very aware to Mr. Lamb and myself on Friday that of the 14 counties that had previously voted for this, they hadn't had a commissioner to vote against it yet. So we won't try to answer any question any commissioner may have here today.
I had a question. How do they go about acquiring whatever, an easement or whatever, through to connect these trails? How do they do that?
Voluntary, no, they do not use eminent domain, and they get the permission of the property owners.
That's a good question. They made it very clear that they would not use eminent domain. A lot of it goes on conservation areas that have already been set aside.
But they got to go across private property somewhere
They
to get
do,
all
sir.
this
They
connected
do.
together. So how
Yes,
they
sir.
were going to do it?
Yeah, it's voluntary agreements. They will detour if they have a situation where a landowner will absolutely not allow the trail to go through their property, they will detour. But despite that, they said they have been very successful in getting landowners permission after explaining to them the effects on the land. A lot of people think it will devalue their land to have behind their house a trail, but actuarially, that's not true. And so.
Other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Wilson?
do we know where it will start in Nash County? I mean, the path it will take?
There will be many trails. We'll do a master plan. We'll connect with the other counties. Like there's a mountains to coast trail. It may or may not go through Nash County, but there are trails that can be developed in the future. In fact, at the meeting the other day, they talked about going from Wake to Warren County. That's not currently in the plans. So this will be, we'll do the master plan from a local perspective. Where would we like to see trails and greenways in our county? We will then match it up with surrounding counties so that they connect.
Okay.
Mr. Belfield?
I was just going to say, have you, you've been contacted by District 5 representative in the city of Rocky Mount? who's now proposing a park in that district, but they wanted to discuss with Nash County trails that come all the way to Nashville. And with some other place too, I don't recall exactly now.
Well, I do know that the
And
chair,
I think it would go along, they're talking about going along the creek trails.
Stony Creek. It was discussed, the chairman brought up at our meeting on Friday that the new improved 64 business has a bike trail, a pedestrian trail?
Pedestrian/bikeway.
Yeah, yeah. So, this is something that, that is new for our county. Again, I think we would want to have a master plan for the entire county, include the municipalities in the planning, and this isn't something that you're going to see in 5 years overall. It's a long-term plan to improve greenways, bike trails, pedestrian trails, along various scenic routes, as well as, meaning rivers, but along roads also.
Well, I know last week, District 5 in the city, Daughters had a date where the people in that district could come in and give their input.
That was last Tuesday night, Mr. Bellfield.
Yeah. You say it's going to happen again?
No, it happened last Tuesday night.
Last
the meeting
Tuesday,
you're
yeah.
referring to, yes, sir.
Yeah, I went to it because I'm in that district.
Sure.
And he discussed it. Yeah, and said they would be in touch with Nash County in connection with what they would love to see, the connections.
I've had a brief conversation from him on that after that meeting, but very brief. I do expect to hear back from him. And I shared with him that I would be going to Raleigh on Friday. At the time, he called me early Wednesday morning when he called. But it was just to advise me that something would be coming that they'd like to talk to us about. If we recall, just not to confuse it, but when DOT presented the plans, and Mr. Boone, if you can help me with this if I mess it up, but we got several presentations from DOT about the roadway from Little Leesburg up to the town of Nashville, and they presented in there that they were going to put right-of-way in that would allow this bikeway/walkway to go in. I think Rocky Mountain was going to go ahead and fund their part of it. My recollection is that Nash County nor the town of Nashville made a commitment to fund the improvements for their part, so I expect we would probably be hearing back from that at some point, because right-of-way was going to be allotted to do that. Mr. Boone or Mr. Lamb, have we heard back from DOT on that, or is that where we stand? Mr. Boone?
I haven't heard anything, certainly the major instance of financing DOT to promote multimodal projects.
Right.
One thing I will add about the meeting, Mr. Bellfield mentioned Thomas Gillespie attended that meeting last week in Acre County to discuss that greenway connection to, I believe it was Sunset Park, it was a fortune.
Right.
Looking down along Stony Creek.
Yep.
But yeah, I know DOT, and that may be a future TIP project, but they likely would require some local commitment by the town and the county to make that a reality.
And do you want to share what little information we know about Falls Road Peachtree that we found out recently in that parking lot exploration that we were doing with the mill?
I understood work was imminent to begin. I haven't actually seen work begin yet, so of course right now it's really difficult, as we've seen on some of our own projects, to get contractors mobilized. But there was a project to provide pedestrian and bike amenities along Falls Road and Peachtree Street from downtown Rocky Mount out to Rocky Mount Mills. So that's something they've talked about for a while, in addition to developing a spur along the old rail corridor
Correct.
that led to the CSA line. But again, that work was supposed to start before the end of this year, so I haven't seen contractors mobilized yet, but it shouldn't be, it won't be as long as it has been, as Deputy Kane used to say.
I think it's actually been awarded to Barnhill, I understand, from a meeting I had with Emil last week. So we probably will see, it's more of a restriping. When they repave both of those, which they're gonna do, they're gonna have only one travel lane, and then part of the lane, and the rest of the lane is gonna be taken up by pedestrian as well as bikeways, is my understanding. Because we're working with them to put that additional parking in for the farmers market during that project, and get safety features across the Peachtree Street at that location. Other questions on this, Mr. Outlaw?
Just a clarification, is this an initiative that Councilman Daltrich is proposing, or is this something the city of Rocky Mount has bought into and they want to work with us to develop these trails from the city out to Nashville? And
The item here before us today is not connected with anything.
I understand.
The city, okay,
I'm
just to
speaking
separate
to
two.
Mr. Bellfield's
Oh, okay.
comments.
I honestly don't know yet because I
Well,
don't have much
I
information
just
from
wondered if that's something that was his initiative that has been adopted by the city council, or is,
I haven't had enough discussions or heard
Okay.
enough to know the answer to that.
I
No,
think we
I
would
didn't.
need that information
Sure.
before we could.
Mr.
Yeah, I
Bellfield,
didn't
he was at the
have
meeting, he
that
could add.
discussion with him, but I noticed this. He had staff, city staff members there with him.
As well as we did, apparently, according to Mr. Boone.
Yeah, well, I think that'd be a great initiative for the
Sure.
county to take up with the city,
Sure.
something like that.
Absolutely.
If that's something that they are looking at doing, or
Right.
is that just his wishes or desires? We need to find that out.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not-
we will in due time.
Okay.
I'm not sure either. I do know they have a Greenway Trails system within the county, within the city of Rocky Mount.
Yeah, it all comes through the MPO.
Yeah.
At our meetings there, which I have one at 4:30 today.
Well, I said that because we have these presentations at our mid-month meeting, so if that's something that
Good idea.
is serious, then it might be something we could consider for a mid-month meeting, to hear what's on their mind.
Right.
I'd be interested in hearing it and supportive of it, unless there's something I've heard that, I don't think there'd be any issues with that.
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of conversations starting up around greenways right now. Thomas, Susan, and I have heard from Sheila Long over with the town of Zebulon.
Yeah.
They're starting conversations with Wake County. She's talked about something potential from the mill over to the five-county stadium. So there are a lot of conversations starting up right now, and I think in a couple of months, we would be able to bring you some
Maybe we
information.
can find out more about it, and then it might qualify for a mid-month presentation. Sure, thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, I would ask you to approve the resolution you have in your packet, starting on page 28, and we will incorporate it in the minutes.
Packet here is referred to as the one on your iPad,
Oh, I'm sorry.
not the one handed out. I've seen several of them looking through the document.
It's on your iPad. Resolution of the Nash County Board of Commissioners supporting the formation of the Triangle Trails Initiative.
You want to take just a moment to look at that on 28 and 29?
comment I have?
Yes, sir.
It looks like to me that these things are positioned down rivers. I'd say the one that's coming in from Franklin County is probably on the Tar River, and the ones coming in from the southern end of the county or joining there, that's on the Johnson County line, that's on Moccasin Creek. You know, my concern is safety in these places. I mean, I don't know how they do, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you got safety issues, and then you got people hunting all up and down there, and people then walking or biking, and how's all that mix come together?
Carefully, I hope.
Well, I just see some,
Yeah.
The one coming from Franklin County is part of the East Coast Greenway, and it comes into Nash County. It just hadn't been fully developed. But the
that's
plans,
along the Tar River.
I think it
That's
is.
what I'd say, just look
Yeah.
at this
I know
map.
they made the statement they generally try to use conservation areas, so, which tells me it's going to be along some stream that already has a set-aside conservation area around it maybe, you know, because a lot of times you'll have farmers that'll set land along streams and rivers into conservation areas to get it off their books, but yet preserve it for never to be developed. But I understand your point.
The city of Wilson's got something like that, you know, but they also give people permission to hunt them.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Mhm. Gotcha.
I was just concerned about safety. I guess the risk you have to take, whatever you do.
Oh, there's some risk involved. It always is, yes, sir. I've been at my former residence in Dorchester cooking on my grill and had dove hunters across the road that would fill my chickens up with pellets or whatever I might be cooking at the time by shooting over my house. So there is,
The risk you gotta
indeed
take
risk
by
that you
cooking
gotta take.
outside.
Yes, sir. Yes. All right, any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion for approval of the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the resolution.
Have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Wilkins, second by Commissioner Belfield. Any questions on it? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? Motion carries. Wonderful. We can let Mr. Sigg know that we have not broken his record.
That's right. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, the next item is item number 9, which is the school vaccination incentive program that we have been working on for, seems like, a very long time, I think 2.5 months now, and I'll call on our assistant county manager to make this presentation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Attached in your agenda packet is the school vaccination incentive plan that was approved by the Nash County Board of Education at their November 1st, 2021 board meeting. Since the approval at that meeting, staff have made one minor change to the plan, and that change is for the school system to partner with Nash UNC Healthcare instead of our Nash County Health Department for administering the vaccination clinics at the schools. The school system had previously partnered with UNC Nash Healthcare, and they requested to continue that partnership for the additional vaccination clinics. In light of this change, Nash County staff will be present for second clinics only to distribute the $100 cash cards as part of the school vaccine incentive program. And you have attached the plan in your packet.
Stacy, do you want to highlight the plan, or you just want to ask questions?
Basically, like I said, at this point, the school system is going to partner with Nash UNC Healthcare to do the vaccination clinics at their high schools. We will be requiring proof of public school, Nash County Public Schools, that they are a student in Nash County Public Schools. We will be requiring consent from parents or legal guardians, and we will be requiring proof of vaccination from the CVMS state system. And once those things are verified at second dose clinics at the schools. Nash County staff will be present to have parents sign off on a form where we can document giving that $100 cash card, and then we will give the card.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
could you just explain briefly how the parents will give authorization? I see it here, but I want the public to know how the school system and
They will be required to show their driver's license, and the school system has documentation of who is parent or legal guardian of the child, and the school system will be verifying that.
I think what we also want to hear is that at the first vaccine, the school system has advised us that they, at that time, have parental consent to get the first vaccine, because we won't be at that first vaccine. We'll be at the second one issuing a card, but we've also determined that the parents have to sign for the initial vaccine as well. A little different from what we understand general statute is. General statute requires that for either 16 or younger or under 16. We are asking it to be for all students.
That's correct.
First vaccine.
That's correct, even the 16 to 18-year-olds. So we've had that discussion, that what we are requiring to be able to receive the $100 gift card, cash card, is that there is parental consent for all students, even between the ages of 16 and up.
Correct.
so,
Go ahead, sorry.
so the parents, will they have to go to that specific school, or they do everything online and then at the first vaccination show their driver's license or ID?
Right, so when they host a vaccination clinic at a school, any student in the school system can go to that high school that the clinic is being held at and get vaccinated and go through the process of the proof of guardianship, parents, and also that they are a student within the Nash County school system. At those different high schools each time, they're not limited for which one they can attend.
Does the parent have to go with?
Yes.
Parent has to be there.
Yes.
Okay,
They're done in
yeah.
the high schools. They don't go to every school. They're scheduled on these clinics in high schools.
But I know, but to get the shot and sign consent, the parent has to physically be with the child.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
In this item here, they do. I don't know what they've done previously.
Right, in what we're giving incentive for.
Yes,
What
sir.
what we're giving the $100 gift card for will require parental consent, notwithstanding that 16 and 17-year-olds can go to private vendors and get that shot without parental consent. To be part of this program, to go through the school system to get the vaccination and to be entitled to the $100 gift certificate, it will require parental consent regardless of age.
Mr. Outlaw, do you have a question?
Yes, sir. No, I just want to make a statement. And I'm just piggybacking on what Commissioner Wilkins said. So I want this to be very clear. This is what I understand, that we are authorizing these gift cards under the expectation that prior to the first shot, the parent and/or legal guardian, as appropriate, some people have legal guardians, some don't, but they will provide written consent prior to that first shot. And it seems to me that since they've got to be there to show driver's license, that would be an in-person written consent, not something you do online or via the internet. Is that the way it's, and that would be for all students 12 to 18?
Correct.
And allowing for Mr. Lamb's point about they could go to a private source and get the same shot. I can't imagine why they'd want to do that if they could, do this. But,
Yeah.
but I just want to make that point very clear. That's what my understanding is.
Correct.
I think it's very, very at least in my mind, we should allow our parents to have input into that child's decision or that student's decision. And this would allow that to happen.
Correct.
Thank you.
Other comments, questions?
This program for the 12 through 18 with Nash County Health Department participating, would that,
The health department will not be.
no, they would not.
Yeah.
So
Not, they've been doing Friday clinics since authorization for that age group came in effect. But this is a different program that will be, the schools will administer it and work with UNC, Nash UNC Hospital. The health department will not be participating at school.
So Nash
clinics.
UNC is going to be the one that administers it.
Correct.
All right.
That's correct. isn't it?
Correct.
In conjunction with the health department.
That was the last
School
minute
system.
change.
Yeah, that was a request by the school system.
Well, the reason I brought it up, because I want to have a follow-up, is this going to slow down the health department, people coming by there getting their vaccine?
It frees up the health
I
department.
was thinking that it's going to spread the staff out.
Yeah. With Nash UNC taking over the administration of this program, it will free up the health department to provide more clinics separate from this initiative.
For people that are not students.
For people that aren't, or students,
Students, if they so choose.
yeah, if they decide to come.
Right. Mr. Outlaw, you had a question?
Just another comment. I know we've got a joint meeting with the school board, I think, this
Thursday night.
Thursday.
Yes, sir.
So I think it would probably be a good idea, because in reading this, it's clear what we've elaborated on here today. We need to make sure it's clear to the school board exactly what the expectations of this board is related to this matter.
Sure.
So I would like to see that expressed on Thursday evening.
Well, you know, Mr. Outlaw, they prepare the agenda for that meeting, and the agenda's not completed yet. If it's not on there, certainly we can bring it up as an item to add to the agenda.
Yes, sir, I would just like it to be very clear, because to me, it's prior to the first shot, you've got to have written consent in person by the parent or legal guardian as appropriate. And then they would get, after the second shot, they would receive the gift card. But it's very important that they understand that.
Mr. Arrington, did you have a comment, question, sir? I know you have a keen.
Well, the school board approved the incentive program at their last meeting. And do we establish a cutoff date to receive the gift card?
We haven't established a cutoff date. What the school's going to do is establish their vaccination clinics. And whenever they have their second vaccination clinics at the high schools, that's where we're going to be distributing the cards.
Okay,
There hasn't been a deadline for the
Right.
program established, no, sir.
okay.
So back to your point, I think it should be on the agenda for Thursday evening, just as clarification for both boards.
I will just say, if it's not on the agenda, we will bring it up at the
Okay,
meeting. Since
that's
we
fine,
don't
sir.
establish the agenda
Thank you.
for this meeting, we established the agenda for the May meeting.
Okay. I know we always have input into the
What we
agenda,
do.
so we can do that as other.
Yes, sir.
We-
Yes, sir. We can.
Now, I'm not going to be able to stay for the completion of that meeting, so I just want to make sure that gets covered.
Other questions or comments?
I want to clarify, it's the wishes of the board that we suggest to the school board to put this on as an agenda item. Is that correct?
The superintendent sent me Friday a preliminary list. I added some items to that, which that was one of the items.
Okay.
I don't know that it will be added, but I'm thinking it will be added.
Okay.
When I get it back, I've actually got a meeting at the school board office about the next capital project at 5:30 today. I will see how that stands.
Okay, great.
For the benefit, and we'll let the board know. It's about the Northern Nash Field House. They just wanted to talk preliminary about what they intend to do over there. But I can bring it up at that meeting as well at 5:30 today. There are no other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none, for item number 9, I would call for a motion to approve the incentive program as presented here today.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Ayrton. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Belfield. Any other questions or comments, discussions? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign. Motion carries, and I appreciate the board's indulgence in this matter.
You put it here.
Mr. Outlaw, we're on item number 10. I would turn that back over to you, sir, for committee and special reports.
Thank you, sir. As always, if you have a report, try to keep it concise and as brief as you can. If there's been no meeting, then just indicate no report. We'll start with District 1, Commissioner Arrington.
No meetings. We have all our meetings this week with my committees.
Thank you, Commissioner Arrington. District 2, Commissioner Belfield.
District 2, Tar River Transit met to approve grant application to expand the transit schedules where they can, not necessarily they can pick up people that need transportation rather than relying only on routes that they normally take in specific days. And our Upper Coast Plain Council of Government met, but I had to take my wife to Duke and Durham, and I couldn't meet, so I don't have a report from that. Also, Need now, his name is New, had a meeting, and I had to miss that too because of my own doctor's appointment. So that is my report, which is, I missed a couple of meetings, and the other, the JCPC did not meet, and the farmers market hasn't called a meeting yet. But I will say this, I try to keep up with what's going on at the farmers market. They're still operating, and we'll be, and then they planning on a schedule after they close that the farmers market will be in use. How long, I'm not sure. But that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Belfield. Any questions for Commissioner Belfield? Hearing none, District 3, Commissioner Cone.
Yes, sir. Health and Human Services Board did meet September the 16th, and we have another meeting this week. We had a report from Tyler Stableman from Veteran Services. He said in August they served 216 veterans, and since its onset in July of 2016, they've served 2,400. And Bill, I think Tyler has left us. He's gone. So I assume we're looking for somebody else, or we have somebody in place. Department of Social Services, Shay Neal give a lengthy report from them. They continue to adhere to COVID-19 guidelines. Due to waivers, they don't have to do face-to-face interviews anymore, except for adult protective services and child protective services and foster care services. They do have to meet face-to-face for those cases. They did meet the 95% processing requirement as of August 21st. So we're proud of them for doing their own schedule, doing what they need to do. Foster care caseload has increased. go into the numbers, but anyway, they are short of help, like everybody else. You know, they hire people, they set up interviews, and they don't come, or they don't show up. They do have, through Trillium, a partnership with Integrated Family Services. Agency has 2 co-responders assigned to assist clients with mental health, substance use, development delays, access services to preventive disruption of the family system. The co-responders will help link families with necessary treatment procedures. And like I say, they had 13 vacant positions at that time. And Mr. Hill gave us a report about the convenience centers, and that we were going to implement some kind of ID tag plan, which we've already done, and we know about that, and it had full support of the health board. That's all I have. Trillium did meet, and we were having other meetings, so I didn't attend the one they had in September. There's another one next week, and the Ag Advisory Board has not met.
You mentioned foster care, and there's a program I know through the social services group whereby they provide Christmas to foster children. Mr. Hill, do you, just for the public's awareness of that, who would they contact if people wanted to get involved in that? Do you have any idea? Maybe we could.
Well, I would suggest maybe Amy or Shay.
Amy Hamlet, Bridget
Hamlet, or
Bridget Hamlet.
Shay Neal.
Okay, I just wanted to make that public because it's a good program, and I know some of the Ruritan clubs out in the county support it, and it does provide Christmas for these children. So contact someone in the social services department, Ms. Hamlet. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Combs?
I would just say that contact need to be pretty quick, because that list
It
is
does.
out.
It is.
And I know Paige and I always take one of the teenagers, provide for them, and I think they need to do it real quick.
Yeah.
Provide it this year, of course, it goes on every year.
And it can be a donation, or you can provide gifts for some child, but
It's really a fun event. You'll get a list of what the child, you'll get his Santa Claus list, what it boils down to, and then you can go purchase those gifts, or you can make a donation, whichever you prefer. But
so anyone out there that's interested in that, we'd appreciate your consideration of supporting that. Okay, District 4, Commissioner Leggett.
All right. First, I've got an update from the hospital. Their Board of Commissioners last met on Thursday, November 4th. At this time, the hospital only has 6 COVID-positive inpatients, and none of those on a ventilator. For their COVID vaccine mandate in-house, they are sitting at 99.7 compliance as of last Tuesday. And also last week, the hospital's report card score, which they refer to as their leapfrog score, that was released, which is an A. That's really tremendous for our community and quite an achievement. Next, I'll report on the STEP Board, or Strategic Twin Counties Education Partnership. They last met on October 19th in person at the Rocky Mount Chamber of Commerce office. The board gathered for a regularly scheduled meeting to review the organization's operations, finances, and activities, and most notably, we had a report from the Apprenticeship NC program, which is a partnership with the North Carolina Community Colleges that gives businesses the opportunity to develop formal apprenticeship programs that are equally beneficial to businesses and students and employees. So that was very interesting and something that our organization is looking at. I don't have anything to report on the Natural Resources Resilience Committee. And just to follow up on Mr. Belfield's comments about the farmers market, I do have some specific numbers there. The traffic counts so far this year are up. They have about 40,000 customers year-to-date so far. That's up from 36,000 for 2020 all year. The market also does accept EBT The vendors have collectively received $47,000 in EBT funds as compared with $27,000 last year. And some upcoming events at our market. This Saturday and next Tuesday, they will be having a Thanksgiving market. And then after that, each Saturday between November 27th and December 18th, they will be having a holiday market every Saturday. That's all I have to report.
Any questions for Commissioner Leggett? Thank you, Commissioner Leggett. District 5, don't have any report on the RPO. Our next meeting is scheduled for January the 12th. Nash Community College, no report there. Our next meeting is December the 13th. On the Broadband Committee, the committee met with Sean Olson, the Cloudwise CEO, on November the 9th to discuss various aspects of the project, for example, customer count, tower status, customer responsiveness, grant funding opportunities, etc. Next committee meeting with Sean and other Cloudwide reps will be December the 15th, where we will get an update to the overall Nash County plan. And once we receive that plan, then we will share it with the full board through Ms. McGee's monthly reports to the full board. Any questions? Hearing none, District 6. I regret to say that Commissioner Wilkins does not have any committees, but I know she's anxious to get 4 or 5, so
Waiting
I'm
for someone's
sure the
turn.
chairman will take care of that.
Yeah, waiting for
very soon.
someone's term to fall off so I can get on. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. District 7, once Chairman Davis finishes with his report, then he would assume the chairmanship, and I'll step aside.
Thank you, Mr. Outlaw. I serve on 2 committees that I report on here. One of them is the TDA. We have not had a meeting since our last report. Our next meeting would be mid-January, and I'll be glad to give a report at our second meeting in January, if indeed we have one. I don't know what the schedule would be quite yet for next year. But our TDA, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the meeting, does meet today at 4:30 via Teams meeting. I will just tell you the action items that are on my agenda for today are our last vote on the newly adopted STEP amendment, which is the list of projects that we give DOT each year in our area that we wish to have funding. That's one item, and we've voted on that twice, I think, already. It will take one more vote before its final adoption. We will be voting for a support Nashville for a bike and pedestrian planning grant, which falls right in line with the discussion that we had previously today. It is the town of Nashville is applying for a grant, and normally the MPA would just do an endorsement letter for that. We'll be doing that. We'll be voting on the schedule for the MPO meetings for next year, and our chair for the MPO, which has been a councilman in Rocky Mount, Mr. Bullock, gave his resignation at the last meeting, and today we would be selecting a new chair. So those would be the action items for today. Any questions on that report? Seeing none, addressing something Mr. Outlaw brought up, we do have a member has been appointed to the board, Ms. Wilkins, recently. She has requested of me to put her on some committees because she presently doesn't have any. I'm just going to say, if you would look at your list, if you indeed you have something you would prefer not to do, we're not looking to give her bad committees by any means. Mr. Combs has expressed one that he would be willing to allow her to take. We do anticipate potentially a new committee member needed on another committee, and I'm trying to get the answer on that before we move forward with Dan's opportunity or item that he has given that he would certainly be willing to let her have. And then, of course, if there's any other commissioner that has something they would like for her to consider serving on, if you just let me know that in the next couple of weeks, that would be nice. And we would talk to her about those appointments. So we certainly want to get her on something, and I'm charged to do that currently as chair, and want to get that done much sooner than later. But it doesn't mean it's not a request for every member to give up all the committees they got and her do all the work. So just keep that in mind as well.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just for the board's information, I do have a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, Gateway Technology Center. Commissioner Wells served on that committee. You have a manager and a commissioner on that board, so that is a vacancy that's available.
Was not aware of. I think I probably knew that, but I had not thought of that. So, and that's called
And she
that's
also,
the building at, excuse me, Mr. Belfield, that's the building itself. It's a committee that looks after the building on the west end college.
Right. The
Okay.
first building when you go into the main driveway on the left there.
Not to confuse it with the Gateway Partnership.
Right.
Okay,
It's totally separate.
okay, all right. Mr. Belfield?
oh, I was going to say that Mary Wells served on the Workforce Development Board, and she was also on the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government Board along with me. Both of us were on there.
Quinn, refresh
But I
my memory.
believe she served on that Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government Board as a business person. I think, I believe I recall her telling me that.
That's correct, Commissioner Belfield. I followed up with Robert Hyatt for the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments Board, and I also followed up with Michael Williams with the Turning Workforce Development Board, and she was on as a business owner on both of those, and I believe both of those have already filled those spots with a business owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I know what you're saying now.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was going to say I remember recommending Mark Froman for
Yeah,
the
you're right.
spot on there.
I recall that now. I knew one of those had been filled. I wasn't sure about the Upper Coastal Plain. Okay, okay. Thank you, Mr. Belfield. Other comments?
And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for considering.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am, excuse me. Sorry. Okay, that finishes up item number 10. We're at the end of the agenda. Is there anything else a board member wishes to bring up at this time? Mr. Manager, anything else you need to bring up?
No, sir.
Mr. Attorney?
No, sir.
Assistant County Manager, you look like you wish to speak, ma'am.
Just please, when you recess the meeting, if you'll do it to the new time of 5:30 instead of 6, please.
I've got a big note here,
Okay.
but thank you. All right, as you heard us say earlier, we do have a joint meeting with the school board. I will make sure you get that agenda as soon as I get it before the meeting or the night before the meeting at the latest. And that meeting has been changed from what you see published here, which is at 6 o'clock until 5:30. And both boards have agreed to that, and it will be at the Nash Community College, which originally I think we said at Nash Central. So the school board changed that to the community college. Is that what I'm looking at? Yes, sir. Okay, so make sure you got a time change and a location change. It'll be at Nash Community College, and it will be at 5:30.
With dinner being served at 5.
Dinner being served at 5. Any questions on that?
Just mentioned, sir, that there's a mask requirement at Nash Community.
There is a mask requirement at Nash General that is Nash Community College that is a stated requirement. We won't go into how effective it is, but it is a stated
I
requirement.
agree with you on that.
Yes, sir. All right. If nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to recess until 5:30 on November 18th at Nash Community College.
I move, Mr. Chairman, I move that we recess until November the 18th, where we would meet jointly with the school board.
At 5:30 at Community College.
5:30 at 5:30.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I have a motion. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Leggett. Questions on the motion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? We stand recessed. Thank you.